But Jay has also made sure to speak about other avenues to black survival that occurred long before streets got named after fallen icons. The specter of slavery haunts the African American mind and shadows a society that too often refuses to acknowledge its complicity in this nation's most grievous offense. On Oceans, which, like Made in America, features a hook by R&B singer Frank Ocean, Jay takes stock of the nearly incomprehensible loss of black life in the transatlantic slave trade. That unspeakable horror marked bodies as chattel and shipped them to North American ports of call. Slavers were able to do evil deeds in the name of the marketplace and religion. Thus it became clear that the slavers' theology permitted them to reconcile the beef between God and Mammon in promoting a racist gospel. Tragically, their approach echoes today in white evangelical heretics who try to trump Obama because they deem him Beelzebub while heralding Trump as a political savior. Right off the bat, Jay situates the blood of the black enslaved who died in the oceans with the ravages of another form of disaster capitalism when he observes, quote, "the oil spill that BP ain't clean up," end of quote. Jay proceeds to connect European imperial ventures to American discovery, challenging the ballyhooed patron saint Christopher Columbus, revered in our collective imaginations and enshrined in our history books. He offers instead the prospect of reverence for the dead but not forgotten Brooklyn MC Biggie Smalls. "I'm anti-Santa Maria. Only Christopher We acknowledges Wallace." He follows it with a figurative association that seals his insurrectionist impulse. "I don't even like Washington's in my pocket," he insists. What might he mean here? Not liking such small denomination bills? Not liking the history of a president who enslaved black folk? Not wanting a white face in his pocket? Hence his next line, "Black card go hard when I'm shopping," symbolizes a level of elite status not easily attained even by those who would slight Jay today. Once again, it suggests wealth as a means to oppose racism. It suggests, too, the superiority of a product created by a black man, Kenneth Chenault, who was at the helm of American Express when the black card was introduced. It is not hard to imagine the symbolic value to black folk and the broader culture of the most exclusive charge card on the market being a black one. Perhaps Jay simply didn't want the filth and lucre associated at times with the U.S. Capitol to soil his pockets. Jay finishes the verse contrasting slave ships with his yacht. But this time his boat, quote, "docked in front of Hermes picking cotton," end of quote, as his fate as the offspring of enslaved ancestors permits their bejeweled progeny, he refers to his Jesus piece, jewelry showing the face of the Savior and made famous in hip-hop circles, to practice a bit of compensatory economic justice. After all, when he says that he will put on my Jesus, he not only adorns his neck with jewelry, but he conjures images of captured Africans forced to lie atop each other in slave ships, especially Jesus of Lubeck, the first slave ship to darken the West. Jay brags that, emboldened by his ancestral energy, "I crash through glass ceilings, I break through closed doors," in proxy of the women and men in the past whose flesh was enslaved, and black folk now whose lives are hampered by obstacles. All of this makes sense as Ocean sings, "Because this water drowned my family, this water mixed my blood, this water tells my story, this water knows it all." Those who lost their lives and whose blood spilled in the waters tell a story of a people stolen, bound and shipped, and later castrated, raped, and murdered, whether lynched from trees or thrown into the Mississippi River. This is what it has meant to voyage inside the hull of the American experiment. Jay has consistently taken on American ideals, American myths, and American illusions, whether sitting in on an instant classic by rapper Meek Mill, "What's Free?" to up the ante and point out American hypocrisy. Quote, "In the land of the free where the blacks enslaved, 3/5 of a man I believes the phrase." Or letting loose on a ballad for the fallen soldier, one of Jay-Z's most sophisticated critiques of American patriotism and American law enforcement. The song's lyrics cling to an extended analogy between street soldiers and conventional soldiers in the throes of American empire. Jay compares the state of the nation after the 9/11 terrorist attacks and the ongoing siege of Black America, using a slant rhyme to offer his slant on things. Bin Laden been happening in Manhattan. Crack was anthrax back then, back when police was Al-Qaeda to black men. Jay-Z uses an experience Americans are familiar with as a bridge to an experience that is largely foreign to them. The vulnerability and disposability of black life in what feels like a police state. The song is a phenomenology of existential dread, a glimpse into the torturous state of affairs for black folk. a completely arbitrary form of relentless assault that leaves them exposed and defenseless. Every time a black body is senselessly beaten by a baton, bloodied by a fist, pummeled while prostrate with hands secured behind the back, hunted and harmed, or mercilessly shot on purpose with no good reason, black life is in terror. And then to have it all happen time and again until it is ingrained in black minds to leave our blackness behind. That, by the way, is impossible, though we attempt to do so by swallowing ourselves inside of our fear. But that never works either, because we are invariably shot in cold blood like wild animals, indeed far worse than wild animals. This is the sense of terror that Jay-Z seeks to express. This is the coerced helplessness in the face of a gory Neapolitan dessert consumed by the streets: vanilla cops, chocolate bodies, strawberry blood spilled from black limbs. If Bin Laden been happening, then this joyless ballad is for those who have fallen prey to destruction in their illegal activities in the underground economy, and for those who have fallen victim to police brutality, whether they are guilty or not. Herein lies the terror. In the end, it makes little difference in how we are seen or treated. And for those who deem it hyperbole to compare the assault on black life to terrorist attacks, the failure to see the parallel only increases the distance between black and white, only increases the suffering. On so many other songs, Jay tells truths about police brutality, about stalled criminal justice, about the value of generational wealth, about white supremacy, about the need for black love. These truths might be lost to the audiences that buy his records or download his music if he didn't entice, seduce, brag, exhort, and party. Conscious rap's appeal, the allure of wokeness, is undeniable, especially in a culture combating recrudescent bigotry and the vicious toll of white supremacy. But Jay knows that if the music doesn't move your behind, it has little chance to stimulate your brain. Many, as we have seen, have taken that to mean he isn't smart or sophisticated, when he is both. They've used his approach to dismiss his political urgency and racial relevance, when clearly he's got both in spades.